Welcome everyone to the Clinton Donnelly Show. I'm super excited to have Gary Cardone on our show with us today. Gary is a entrepreneur. He's had a significant financial experience in the fraud investigation industry and also has real estate experience. But most of you know him for his Bitcoin advocacy. So today on our show, we're going to have a wide-ranging conversation about topics, and all of them eventually come down to looking at the price of Bitcoin and finances. One of the things I discovered when I was looking at your background, Gary, is that you got your bachelor's degree in economics, which is interesting because, you know, when when I took my economics class in college, it helped me start to understand what they were saying on TV, all this, financial things. But now we are living in a time that is we've never seen before. I mean, there's so much change that's going on. I think Marco Rubio phrased it very well this past couple of days when he said the old world order is gone. It's not just political; it's financial, it's economic, and it's also cultural and civilizational. That just we're living in a time of just unparalleled change and dynamics, and it's really hard to read the tea leaves to see where we're headed. So that's why I'm really interested in your views on these topics. I guess one of my first thoughts is we'll start with taxes since that's our show. You know, Donald Trump and Secretary Bessent have thrown out trial balloons suggesting that possibly we can do away with the entire income tax, that they can reduce the budget through eliminating fraud and through tariff income. What do you think about that sort of proposal?
Well, let's get back to the economics thing because I think that was an interesting. You made me reflect on my college experience, and I must say, in high school and college, I felt like I went to one of my, those 10-year graduations or whatever you go to your. And I remember meeting the perfect girl in school. You know, she was the teacher's daughter. What was her name? Yeah, exactly. and in school, like we just stayed away from each other. But 10 or 20 years later, she's like, "Hey, I always liked you. You're awesome." And I'm like, you were the perfect kid making straight A's. And she was, "Gary, it was like for 8 years, your foot was tapping saying, 'Hey, when can I actually get into the real world?'" Like I found it very frustrating. Like I was being held back. I remember going to my first economics course in college, Economics 101, and the teacher got up on the chalkboard, and he said, "When supply exceeds demand, prices fall, and when demand exceeds supply, prices go up." Clinton, I'm telling you, I looked at that. I've had 3 or 4 things happen to me in my life, and I was like, okay, I am done with college. I have gotten everything I need from economics. That was the first year, and I was right. Okay. Every business I would go into after that would be based on supply and demand, including buying Node 40. Because I looked at Node 40 and went, my God, dude, there's no one out here doing any of this stuff. Your business, their business, a number of other businesses. I'm like, no one's doing any of the boring stuff in crypto. So it's interesting though that, you get a few nuggets in college, and that was my one nugget. And I literally would go on to every business I've ever been in is literally based on supply and demand. That's how I really got into Bitcoin. Because my previous background was energy. So that's a real commodity play, right? So for me to move into Bitcoin, it was very commodity driven perspective. But look, on the taxes thing, the world's in a very, very weird place when we have Marco Rubio.
Wait a second. You're leaving everybody hanging about this girl. Whatever happened?
Well, no, the point of the story was that the girl, even though we were extremely different, 20 years go past, and her name was Laura, the perfect kid. And you don't really know anything that's going on in school. I think that's the point I was trying to make. She didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what was going on. And, I think too much is made of school.
Yeah. Yep.
I think too much is made of the process of school. I mean, look, this is where I was going with my comment. When Marco Rubio is leaving the big threads of data about the New World Order is crushed, this world is definitely in an interesting place.
Oh yeah. I was shocked because when he said that, the commentary was kind of like everybody just accepted that. I mean, he pretty much brushed that the thinking of that Munich Security Conference aside. Same thing with the World Economic Forum when Trump spoke. They basically all that old thinking is just kind of blowing away. I mean, you got climate change is being ridiculed, all this World Health Organization stuff's being ridiculed. I mean, it's that shell has cracked. That monolithic thinking has cracked, and something new is coming out.
Well, I think its trust has been betrayed.
This is true.
And we have no one trusts anyone about anything. And by the way, no one should trust anyone, including you and I. They should verify, validate, verify, and revalidate. And anyone you're listening to online, you should most certainly validate, because there's a lot of bullshit online. There are a lot of people pretending to know what they're talking about. There's no verification on people. People aren't even asking, hey, what's your background? Oh, I'm a big Bitcoiner. I own one Bitcoin. That's not a big Bitcoin. And you can't, these, like, it's a little concerning. But look, I think at the end of the day, authenticity, supply and demand, authenticity is raising to the top. People are finally going, oh, wow, I can't trust anyone. So rather than me getting all panicked, I have to look around and go, okay, what can I trust? I can trust authenticity. There's a shortage of it. I'm going to be more authentic in the world, and hopefully other people will be more authentic. But supply and demand would tell me that being authentic and honest and honorable actually is going to pay some premiums in the future that haven't been paid in the past.
That's a great insight.
That's a little philosophical, but back on your taxes. Listen, if I was Trump, I would reduce income and capital gains next to zero. I would go flat, and you would see the biggest economic boom in the United States we have seen in a decade, if not 4 decades. It would be, because right now I have so little trust with anyone, or in fact the entire system, that I am resisting investing. I am holding back. I'm scared. I'm nervous. If I don't trust anything, I am not. That's why Bitcoin's suffering right now. No one trusts the system right now. And the Bitcoin community went out of its way to suggest that they were the most pure people on planet Earth. And now the community's waking up going, oh, wow, we're not actually pure either. Okay, so people are just having a reset. I think everyone's having a reset. Back to your comment about Rubio, we are in a reset on a global basis, most certainly.
Well, we are. I mean, we have the new, Trump has proposed Kevin Marsh to come in and be the new Fed chairman. He's got a different perspective, coupled with Trump, where the Fed is not running the economic system, but that rather the administration is, and the Fed is going to be a little bit more responsive to what the administration wants. Treasury is going to be leading. Treasury is doing a lot of QE type of things of its own. This is a big change. In fact, there's a lot of people around Trump that say we got to get rid of the Fed. So what are your thoughts about the Fed? Where do you think it needs to go? Where do you see that future headed?
Well, I don't think Trump picked Marsh. I think Trump was told who to pick. And I think there's a fight here, okay? I mean, look, I think it goes back to your first comment. We are in a reset. And I think all of the 20th century analog constructs, all the big institutions that have been playing by a set of rules that I don't think the world was really appreciative of, I think they're all breaking down, man.
Yeah.
And if you look at it, rather than getting all conspiratorial about the whole thing, if you just look at any kind of construct that was built, whether it be seasons of the year or cycles in an economic cycle, or in fact cycles in a philosophical one, they all go through cycles. And I think we're cycling through this area of, hey, we gave a lot of trust and freedom to the system. We let our leaders lead. Our leaders have betrayed us. And now the system is collapsing because it no longer serves the greater good. And by the way, this system is not sustainable. The system where there's lies, opacity, cartels, and then we pretend like we're a free market, these lies sooner or later come to live their life out, and it's just not. You're going to have a revolt. I go on these spaces, and I know this is on TV, and I'll probably get banned and sued. But look, we will revolt at some point. Every civilization revolts when people take advantage of the masses. And I think that's what we're going through right now. We're going through this almost a coma. We're going into a coma, or we're stroking out. The old system's not, it's dying because it's not serving the greater good. And sooner or later, they're going to revolt. Now, we may be past the point of no return where people just don't have any, you just vaccinated half the planet. And I'm pretty sure that was not drugs in there that encouraged people to be more courageous and authentic.
You're right. I think what I hear you kind of saying, amongst a lot of things,
especially just 1 second. I don't mean to be really negative, man, but like, we do have to address that we have been, since 2020 at least, if not much earlier, this thing is escalated now. These cycles are compressing and it's getting worse. I don't want to be negative, but until all this gets sorted out, I just don't see an investment world where people are going to be so comfortable that they're going to be taking lots of risk. And they're not going to be investing in companies. I mean, you see it, how difficult it is to get shit done in this country anymore.
Yeah.
Right? You have a business that should be probably 10 times the size it is right now, based on the need, and yet no one really pays any attention to it. So, and the conglomerates that got here, the legacy players, they're not helping. People are dragging their feet as long as they can, because I think most people understand what's coming. We are going through a major reset. The largest reset in anyone's lifetime, if you're living today, is happening right now.
I agree.
Like, I had to address that. I'm like, wow, man, this is happening. Like on our age bracket now, it's not going to be something we read about. That's unusual, man.
It's never happened in our lifetime before. I mean, like, for me, I was in the 60s and 70s. Yeah, there was kind of like, uprisings and student uprisings, but everything kind of flattened out and it progressed. And here we're having a really global collision of values. And we see it in stark contrast here in the US. On one hand, we have we have real polarization. We've heard it talked about. People who like to talk economics talk about a K-shaped recovery, where somehow there's people who are having assets, wealth is increasing, they're doing well, and there's people whose wealth they're struggling to get by and it's getting worse. And that type of picture is not a good picture, because that creates an economic strife between two groups. And we see a reaction to it. We see one side, we see like kind of a return to maybe a little bit of a laissez-faire, kind of what Trump is doing, hands off more, let capitalism be capitalism. And you see this expressed in states like where you're at, Florida and Texas. But then you also see a retrenchment to socialism becoming a more hardened form of socialism, maybe near communism in New York, in California. I mean, just a day or two ago, Mondami, the mayor of New York, said, I'm going to jack up the property taxes. And he's basically he has come up with a budget that exceeds the entire budget of the state of Florida and many other states. And and he's pandering to this the bottom side of that K curve. And ultimately he's going to be disappointing people and profiting on the backside. But this is going to create economic strife, like you're talking about. And how do people resolve this, especially in a world where AI and robotics is starting to crash in the door?
Yeah, it's a tale of two worlds, man. It's a tale of two leadership styles. And, the Mondami thing, I mean, it's funny. My brother and I were talking about this, and we were like, hey, let's let him get in, dude. Like, I would vote for him if I was in New York. Because it's going to accelerate the decline of New York. Mm-hmm. The great New York that the Scaramucci's of the world and the Giulianos of the world said, hey, New York can never die. New York is dying, if not dead, right now. And it will not come back. Like, California will not come back until there's a total reset here. You lost 12,000 multimillionaires in the United Kingdom. You've lost Citadel, Chicago lost Citadel. You've had how many billionaires? I think 31% of the net worth in California has left California. 31%, dude.
Well, yeah, and Chamath is saying like half the billionaires are gone, and the other ones are still leaving.
Well, the tale of two cities. I mean, people that are supposedly in the K-shape and they're broke or whatever, like the last thing you want to do is fuck with the rich people. They're the ones that employ everyone. Like, what are you guys doing? It makes no sense at all. This is back to my point. Hey, I'm not going to build any businesses until I know what the heck's going on here. Right? I'm not going to reinvest in my environment until things are settled. So no one's going to invest in New York or California.
What sort of indicators would suggest to you that things are starting to get settled?
I think we're a long way. I think we're a long way up. I think we need a revolt. I think you need the masses to actually stand up and say this is enough, because it is not sustainable. If you just look at it if you stick this whole situation on a laboratory, on a lab, and go, hey, look, I'm just going to look at the situation here. You're destroying the organism that you serve.
Mm-hmm.
You're feeding them poorly, you're medicating them badly, and you're draining every economic strain out of them. Look, the Fed, back to your point about the Fed. I don't know how you get rid of this problem, right? But most people don't even understand the Fed is not even a part of the government. So I don't know that you can get rid of it, but you're not going to get rid of it peacefully. I don't know any time in history, Clinton, that freedom was given freely, and most certainly power. Someone that has power has never allocated power to another entity of its own volition. Like, I have never heard a story where someone was granted the power of the universe. You take the power. And that's the only kind of power. Like, people are taking power. So we're not fighting for it. Like, when was the last time you saw anybody stand up and actually fight? Like, even this, like my commentary here is probably not going to go over very well.
No, my listeners would. They would love this stuff.
Gary wants to revolt. Hey, I'm just saying that until we revolt, we're not going to have a different situation here. Until people stop buying shit from Procter & Gamble or Pfizer, they're not going to go out of business. And these companies need to die. Like if Nestle's is selling chocolate laced with arsenic, the economic force that will stop them is if you stop buying it. If McDonald's is selling bullshit and they got human DNA in their food, stop shopping at McDonald's and tell people. This is how you revolt. You don't have to be violent. You can cut your credit cards up into tiny 1,000 pieces, take a picture of it, put it on X and say, I'm done with this company. They are a bad company. And no matter what Trump says he can do to the credit card industry, he can't cap credit card rates to 10%. He does not have that power. And until someone comes in here and says, wow, this system is up. And it got up over 40 years.
Yep.
And you don't fix, and it's not going to get fixed from inside. I've been in disruption business my entire life, and I have never seen a conglomerate cannibalize itself. Have you ever seen anyone cannibalize himself? No, they never. Google is not going to win the AI war. It's going to be a startup. I'm not even sure OpenAI is going to win the war. I mean, my thing on AI is, hey, I'm just going to wait for a year. You guys give all the information, and I'm probably going to buy a product for $8.95 a month that basically is the best LM in the world in a year.
Mm-hmm.
And without giving all my data. So it's just It's a weird world right now.
It is. It is. And I remember when I was a kid, uh, my grandfather was there, and my brother and I were quizzing him, and he told us about how he met his wife, and they went out on a date in a Model T, and he had to hand crank the Model T. Today, if you told someone today, a teenager today, he hand cranked the car, they have no idea what you were doing to the car. No idea of the concept. Just sounds so barbaric. But I remember that. I remember my grandfather telling me he used to go down the river and get ice out of the river and drag it back and put it into the ice box, and that's how they cooled things. It's like this is such a different world from where my grandfather is to where my grandchildren are going to be. It's just I don't think this ever changed like this in the human history.
No, I agree. Now on that point, I don't think people realize 40% of the world's population still today cooks on wood. Okay, cooks on wood. They have to go to the river, they get water, they bring the water back, they cut a tree down, they burn some wood, and they clean the water. 40% of the world's population lives like that every day.
Hmm.
Now, this K-shape that I keep hearing about for the Americans, because I think this is really about America, right? The K-shape.
Yeah,
economy.
I think so.
The people that are on the bottom of the K-shape, they live better than most all of the 40% that I just referred to. They have a better life than like I don't get this whining, this crying. Oh, I'm a Gen Z or whatever Gen you are. I can't afford a house. I live in Florida, and within 10 minutes of me and 10 minutes of the whitest beaches in America, water that you can actually get in. There are at least 1,000 homes within 10 minutes of me, priced less than $350,000. That is below the median average house cost. If you're trying to buy a house in California for 1.5 and you can buy the same house in Florida for 350 grand, like it's not my problem that you're on the bottom of the K-shape. Like you made a decision to be in California. I didn't. I left California. I lived there. I'm like, this is too expensive. I am not going to waste my money here. I'm going to live in Florida where I can actually use the water, where people are more reasonable. Fear is not the major emotion. And I'm not getting taxed out of the ass. So I just don't, even though this is a reset period, because I try to be very positive for people, if you're 18 years old, this is an awesome opportunity. If you're 28, 38, 88, this is an awesome opportunity because the world is resetting and no one has any more tools than you do. In a reset, everyone's equal.
You just need to take the initiative to go out and grab the opportunities.
You have to grab the opportunity and discipline. Like every business I've ever built that I've built in these periods, they've been great businesses because I'm not having to compete with Google for $300,000 salary people who are only worth 150 or 100. That's all coming down.
Mm-hmm.
There's tons of services that are not being done. The problem with having major companies control, I think 72% of every industry is controlled by 3 or less companies. And the opportunity there, that may sound frightening, but I look at that and go, wow, there's so many opportunities in that because big companies don't do service well. They have horrible cultures. These companies do not create innovators. The HR department doesn't want innovation at these big companies because innovators are disruptors. They don't play by the same rules. So there's guys like you and me out there going, hey, I don't want to work for Visa. I wouldn't work for Visa if they paid me $100 million a year. Like, just go to their office. These people are so drugged out of their mind, it's unbelievable. Okay. They may be good people. It's just not the environment I want to work in. And I want to be creative. And there's tons of creation opportunities out there. And with the tools that we have today, I don't need to make $8 million. I might be able to make 180 grand and keep half of it. Right. And have a life. but I may not be able to live in California. I may not be able to live in central London next to Tom Cruise, right? I might have to make some decisions. Like, by the way, you and I have always had to make economic decisions. Hey, can I afford to live in Mayfair? Yeah, I don't think so.
Mhm.
Or maybe I don't want to afford to live in Mayfair and have that type of life. So, look, I just think this is down to making really cool decisions. Everyone's in the same position. If you think IBM and anybody working for IBM is more comfortable than you are, I got to tell you, they should be terrified.
I used to work for IBM. When I quit, the regional manager came down and said, "Clinton, you better not leave. I mean, you're not going to make us much money. You get the benefits." After 13 years there, I left. I have never made less money than I did at IBM. So,
And you probably never had as much. You never had more boredom than you had when you were at IBM either.
oh yeah, you were being whipped around by matrix managers, and it was tedious. Once you start paving your own path and working with smaller companies or working for yourself, you get to be the innovator. You get rewarded for the risks that you take, and ultimately, we make. If you want to get wealthy in this world, if you're on that lower K shape, you start by making more of your own labor, and then start to channel that profit into passive incomes that can continue to grow for you, right?
Yeah, that's what I love. Bitcoin is a second business. It doesn't bring you passive income, but it allows me to build a private equity business just like I've done my whole life and have no human error risk element to that. And I have if I'm only willing to hold the business for 8 years, I've never built a business that I've held less than 8 years.
Mhm.
So I look at Bitcoin and go, wow, I can, do some business in the energy business or whatever my core skill is. I can take that money, invest it in Bitcoin. Now I have two businesses. I'm getting really good at my own energy business, and I'm investing in Bitcoin that doesn't require me to go to meetings and conventions and make phone calls and deal with things and get K1s. And, getting K1s for a $8,000 investment is a lot of work. It's just not efficient. You know what I'm saying?
It is.
And the beauty of just doing Bitcoin and not having to sign an NDA and not having all these agreements and Class B and Class C and are you accredited? Like as soon as you start sending me the NDA, I'm out. I'm like, dude, I don't need to sign an NDA with Bitcoin. And your opportunity isn't going to be any better. So why am I doing this? I have no human error risk. I don't need to do a David Bailey investment with Bitcoin. I just need to invest in Bitcoin and know I'm just going to be fine in 8 years. And if I want to close it out in 6 because it's returned 400x, awesome. If I want to hold it, awesome. If I want to borrow against it later, which I'm doing, 2 years ago, people said, oh, won't it be great when we can borrow on Bitcoin? I don't see a lot of people doing that. I have been borrowing on Bitcoin for a year and a half now, and the rates have come down so substantially. And that was a pipe dream 2 or 3 years ago that we could borrow against Bitcoin. And now I literally have, it's just such a great investment. I mean, not to have any human error risk is spectacular to me. And the optionality of being able to borrow against something it is coming into its almost 18 years old. It's coming into its status as being an asset class. And to be early here is an opportunity, I think, to build a business. And everyone I know, I want to be my own CEO. Okay. You're not equipped to be it, much less equipped to run 30 or 40 or 300 people. But Bitcoin doesn't require you to do any of that. You don't have to have management skills. You don't have to have an HR department. I just think there's a lot of benefits that people just don't. If I was going out every day, flying to California, I bought a gold mine, and I'm getting my hands dirty every day with heavy equipment, mining for gold, you would be like, wow, Cardone is just an animal. I'm mining my fiat, investing in Bitcoin, and people are like, hey, that's not a business. Like, really? It isn't, huh? So, in order to have a business, I need a lot of people, a lot of expenses, a lot of CapEx, and a lot of equipment. And maybe a payoff in 6 years. Maybe. Oh, I have to have regulatory agreements. I have drilling agreements, regulatory approvals. I don't need any of that with Bitcoin. Yet people look at me and go, wow, you're lazy. Yeah, well, I read a book. I painted 3 paintings today. I'm doing a thing with you. I'm living my life. I've got more Bitcoin than I had last month. My businesses are going well. Wow, life is really difficult.
Well, hey, that is very inspirational for anybody who's watching that to just take that to heart. And as we kind of wrap it up, Gary, as we talk right now, Bitcoin is about 66,000. Where do you think it's going in the short term and the long term? What's your view? Obviously, you're bullish because you have a lot in. What's your 2 cents?
Well, I think Bitcoin's weak right now. I think weak. I've taken a lot of hate for the last probably 2 or 3 months, but look, there's not buyers for Bitcoin. There's more sellers than buyers. The Bitcoin pure elite maxis are no longer buying Bitcoin. I really wish we'd never come up with the concept of hodler. A hodler now I know is defined as someone that lotteried into $300 Bitcoin. They haven't bought any Bitcoin since. They're just holding. Okay, I am a Bitcoin acquirer. The first time I came in here, I bought some, and I've been buying some ever since. And it is people like me, my brother, and other people that are coming into this space that are buying $90,000, $80,000, $60,000 Bitcoin that are going to drive Bitcoin. Because although you guys may want a pure, perfect market with no Wall Street players, you ran out of cash. Okay, so you're not big enough to carry the rest of the market. I'm sorry, I got to be mean about it, but like, you need me. And if you don't want me here, let me know. This price will go to $20,000, man. Okay, there's no demand when there's only 10 million users. And that's what I think we have in Bitcoin. We have 500 million players in the investment space on planet Earth, and I think there's less than 2% of them in Bitcoin. That's 10 million people. That is not a monster market. And in order to get a monster market, you need all these tools. Okay. For instance, I called my bank the other day and I said, hey, look, I'm in some bonds with you guys. I don't want to do this anymore. I want you to move those bonds into STRC. And I know Bitcoiners are like, oh, the STRC product that pays 11.5%. That's not real Bitcoin. That's awful. Dude, I just bought $4 million worth of Bitcoin. Now, I didn't, but Saylor did. That's real demand. And I moved fiat from bonds into STRC. Okay, that's a better. You're seeing money now move into Bitcoin, and people are bitching about it because it's not a Bitcoin pure product. I think we're weak. I think we're gonna go test 58 again, 59. If we blow past 58, we're gonna go into the 40s. And I don't necessarily like that, other than I now can prepare to smash in at lower prices. I think that's a good trade for me. I don't see the scenario where in the next 3 or 4 or 5 months, price goes to 80,000, 88, 92. It has to get through these numbers. It has to get through 72, 75, 82, 85, and 92. And man, that's a lot of levels to get through. Mm-hmm. So I think we're in a 6, 7, 8 month. Take your time, stack your fiat, buy the Bitcoin, place bids. This thing rocks down 10 or 12%. People aren't going to buy it. Okay. You're going to get scared. I get scared. You place your bids, you get hit, and then you reassess. So I don't know. What do you think? I mean, is there any part of that you disagree with?
Well, I think your argument is through, trying to hit various economic points. Some people say the 4-year argument. I think the price of Bitcoin is significantly tied up to some of the things you said very early on in the show when we were talking about a world full of change and that you didn't feel comfortable investing. And I think that's true for a lot of people, even institutional buyers who are unsure because the Clarity Act is not clear. Not sure if when the Clarity Act gets approved, if it's still really going to give us all the clarity we need. So there's a lot of people are very hesitant. And I think you're right. The OG Bitcoin holders, they're not buying. They've been sitting on it. They're just dumping the stuff to take profits when they can. So, so I
I've
think the
heard more
demand has
whales.
changed.
I've heard more whales, more bearish on Bitcoin than I've ever heard, and they're bearish also philosophically. This Epstein thing really crushed a lot of people's, pure view of Bitcoin. I think it, reality is kind of setting in. Hey, there's human beings involved here.
Mm-hmm.
And we're flawed. We're flawed. We make mistakes. I've heard this perfect money thing. I'm like, come on, man. Nothing's perfect, dude. We have human beings in it. It's not perfect. It's great, but it's not perfect. To your point, I really just get back to, hey, what else am I going to buy? If I have money and I'm trying to invest money, am I going to really step out and buy OpenAI or invest in Sam Altman or NVIDIA or Palantir? I mean, I don't know what these companies really do. These earnings, they're priced for super perfection. And I just don't understand the stock market and I don't trust it. And so I look at Bitcoin and go, shit, dude, like I'm going to be fine in 4 to 8 years. Okay. There's 16 million of these units. There's 8 billion people on planet Earth. There's 500 million investors in this world. And there's less than 10 of them in Bitcoin. I see people paying $140,000 for a Richard Mille freaking watch. Okay. 300 grand for an automobile that's going to depreciate 100 grand as soon as you take it out of the garage. So I think there's plenty of demand here. Once, we get some kind of, I wouldn't say the clarity thing. I mean, I don't want the bill. Quite frankly, I would rather not have the bill if the banks are going to keep their moat against stablecoins. I'm not a believer, contrary to many of the lawyers that are in Bitcoin. Hey, any regulation is good. No, if it's not good regulation, don't sign it, dude. Do not. In fact, I think if we get the clarity bill, it's not going to be good for Bitcoin. You watch Bitcoin price go down. Too many people are going, oh, if we get the clarity bill, everything's going to go up. It's a very, very odd environment for money moving into new places. And Bitcoin is not a sexy place right now. It's not. Nope. It should have competed with gold, and it didn't. That is something we should all notice. Oh, wow. Why didn't it track gold?
Yeah, I think you're right. Even if a clarity bill gets passed, it's going to take months before people really parse it and decide if it's giving them the confidence to invest.
Correct. Yeah. It'd be interesting. I'd love to do this again in like maybe two or 3 months and see what's changed, because I do think lots happening this year. We may not like all of it, but I think a lot's going on.
I'd love to do that again. Thank you so much, Gary, for your time. This has been a very scintillating show, and we'll do it again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you.